Prabhashaniya Adhyaya is about the discussion, how the discussion has to be considered, and the importance of the discussion in the medical profession. Prabhashana is simply it's Ajita Shastra se punah arthato vyakhyanam prabhashanam. Once you have studied whatever you have studied, it should be described verbally, or verbal communication with the exact meaning is the prabhashana. Of course, it's not only in Sushruta. Charaka also gives a high importance to the prabhashana and the description of the rather exchange of the ideas or conferences, right? And the discussion among the physician is given high importance and given more detail in Charaka in Vimanasthana. And whatever we now consider in the current medical system, also it has the same issue. Once any new idea has come up, that new idea has to be tested and verified by a community. It's what we call as the peer review. The current word is peer review, and that peer review would be of both critical as well as with a positive approach. And that critical and positive approach is what's mentioned in Charaka as a Vyanasthana as a Sandhaya Sambhasha and Vigresha Sambhasha. So Bishak Bishijasa Sambhasheta Tadvidya Sambhasha hi Jnana Abhyoga Samharshakari Bhavati Vaisharadhyamapicha Abhinirvartati. It gives you a opportunity to enhance your knowledge as well as it improves your skill, your performance on the subject. Vajana Shaktimapi Adhatte. It gives a capability to communicate better. Yashascha Abhidiyati, Abhidipayati. It gives you a name also. And Pura Shruteja Sandehotah Punashravanat Shruta Samshayam Apakarshati. If at all there is any doubt in whatever you have studied earlier, that doubt can be removed. Shruteja Asandehavatah Bhuyo Adhyavasayam Abhinirvartayati. Those who do not have any confusion, they can have a more and more encouraging sort of enterprising approach to the subject. Ashrutamapi kanchid artham shrotra vishayam akadayati. There could be certain issues which you have not heard till now. They could be gained by attending a conference. Yet acharya shishaya shushrushave prasanna karmana upadishati. Gushya abhimatam arthadatam tat parasparena saha jalpan pindena vijigishuhu aha samharshat. So when you attend a conference, you will gain information from many sources and many categories of information. And in those days, the discussion would be of either a Vigresha Sambhasha or Sandhaya Sambhasha, where somebody would be trying to criticize a critical approach or maybe a synthetic approach. Now, Sushruta gives the importance of the Sambhasha. Adhigatamapi Adhyayanam Aprabhashitam Arthadakharasya Chandana Bharaiva Kevalam Parishramakaram Bhavati. Bhavati Chatra Yatha Kharas Chandana Bharavahi Bharasya Vyakta Natu Chandanasya Evam Shastrani Bhuni Adhitya Artheshu Mudaha Kharavad Vahanti. Even after gaining your examination, getting through the examination, if at all you have to improve your skill, that skill can be improved only by having a mutual discussion or exchange with the experts in the field, and simply carrying that theory knowledge without that capacity or without that skill of performance. Sushruta says that it's as good as a donkey carrying the weight of sandalwood. Of course, whether really the donkey knows the value of sandalwood or not, these are all the controversial issue. And we believe that the donkey doesn't smell the chandana. Okay, that's the other way. But it's a popular notion, like donkey is considered to be an inferior animal and man is the one who controls, and the donkey doesn't know the value of the load which is carried. Is only carrying the load. So those who carry heavy books without knowing the meaning, they are compared to the donkeys as such. Now, about the Tadvidya Sambhasha and method of gaining the knowledge, Charaka Samhita gives again the same whatever is mentioned in Sushruta, but gives more classical or more classified information about that. How to gain the knowledge is Adhyayanam, Adhyapanam, Tadvidya Sambhashati Upayaha. To gain the knowledge, Charaka Samhita says about the 3 steps. Adhyayanam, the self-study, study and then gain the perfection. Then Adhyapanam. Any postgraduate student should be in a teaching profession at least for 3 years. If at all, he has to gain perfection. This is what I always say. Like, if you are in the teaching profession for many years, then you become stale. But a few years, you have to be in the teaching profession. Then the next is Sadvidya Sambhasha, that discussion among the experts in the field. These are the important three methods of the gaining the knowledge, and this is a very perfect method of gaining the knowledge. No education is of the current day can suggest anything better than this. So that's the ultimate. So Ayurveda is not only about treatment and diseases, it gives many other aspects of the life. One of them is the education. And in the education field, the model of education given by Ayurveda is a real highest standard of model of education, and it should be followed as it is. That's what, and it can give a model to the future world. This is what I always feel. Now, of course, the Adhyayana Vidhi, again, it's the same, whatever is mentioned in the Samhita. Otherwise, in the Sushruta Samhita, Kalyaha, Kritakshanah, Pratotthaya, Vyusham Chakrutva, Avashyakam, Upasprisya Udakam, Devarshiko Brahmana Guru Vruddha Siddha Acharyobhya Namaskritya, Same Shuchau Deshe Sukhopavishtya Mana Purasarabhi Vagbihi, Sutram Anukraman Punah Punah Avartayeta Buddha, Samyad Anupravisha Arthatvam, Sadosha Pariharartham, Paradosha Pramanartham, एवं मध्यम दिने अपराह्ने रात्रौ च शश्वत अपरिहाय अध्ययनम् अभ्यस्येत् इति अध्ययनविधिः. Now, the study of method of study mentioned in Charaka is almost the same as that of what's mentioned in Sushruta as such. Now, the further तत्र तस्मात् सविंशम् अध्यायशतम् अनुपदपादश्लोकम् अनुवर्णयितव्यम् अनुश्रोतव्यं च. You are not supposed to neglect any component of the subject. You cannot just classify the subject as something as important, something as less important, and something could be neglected. That's not the method of study. Sushruta says you have to follow every word, every chapter of all the chapters of the Samhita, and every word has to be given equal importance. Anupada pada shlokam anuvarnayitavyam. Each and every word has to be explained properly and should be studied properly. The reason is kasmat सूक्ष्मा ही द्रव्य रसगुण वीर्य विपाक दोष धातु मल आशय मर्म शिरा स्नायु संध्यस्ति गर्भ संभव द्रव्य समूह विभागाः तथा प्रणश्च शल्योद्धरण व्रण विनिश्चय भग्न विकल्पाः साध्य याप्य प्रत्याख्येयता च विकाराणाम् एवं आदेश्च अन्ये विशेषाः सहस्रशो ये विचिन्त्यमानाः विमल विपुल बुद्धिरपि बुद्धिम् आकुलीकुर्युः किं पुनः अल्पबुद्धेः तस्मात् अवश्यम् अनुपदपादश्लोकम् अनुवर्णयितव्यम् अनुश्रोतव्यं च. The field where you go in from the treatment method, medical point of view, you would be dealing with lots of subjects, and it's essential. The subject would be about studying of the medicine, Dravya Rasaguna Virya Vipakaha, the pharmacology, and Dosha Dhatu Marashaya Marma Sirasnaya Sandhyasti, the study of the physiology and anatomy, and Garbha Sambhava Dravya Samuha Vibhagaha, the effects of the medicine over the body and the physiological changes. Pathology also has to be studied. Then the surgical implications, pranasthasya uddharana pranamishya bhagna vikalpaha. Then prognosis of the disease has to be studied. So the subject is quite vast, and it will have many nuances. And Sushruta says it is a sahasrashoya vichityamana. It could be innumerable variations, and those innumerable scope of the subject is so much that a person with the extraordinary capacity, even a person with an extraordinary capacity to retain and receive may get confused. And kim punaha alpabuddhi. So if at all you are of a alpabuddhi category, your intelligence is comparatively lower, what would be the fate? And hence you are not supposed to neglect even a single word in the Samhita. Every word has to be followed. At the same time, it's not enough if you study only one subject. You also have to study whatever is relevant in the other relevant subjects also. अन्य शास्त्रोपन्नानां च अर्थानाम् इह उपनीतानाम् अर्थवशात् तेषां तद्विद्येभ्य एव व्याख्यातम् अनुश्रोतव्यं च. कस्मात् न हि एकस्मिन् शास्त्रे शक्यः सर्वशास्त्राणाम् अवरोधः कर्तुं. भवन्ति छात्राः एकं शास्त्रम् अधीयानो न विद्यात् शास्त्रनिश्चयम् तस्मात् बहुश्रुतशास्त्रं विजानीयात् चिकित्सकः. So it's not enough if you study only one part of the science or one component of the science. There could be many other contexts where the other parallel science subjects also have to be studied, and those parallel subjects also have to be studied properly in a proper manner. And only those who have a broad based knowledge can become a good physician. Tasmat Bahushrutah. A physician has to have an idea of lots of other information, lots of other subjects. It's not only that he knows about the medicine, he has to deal with a patient of different setup, different social conditions, and he should be able to communicate with the patient properly. And this would be possible only when he has a linguistic capacity, he has a capacity to understand the situations, he has a capacity to have a wavelength to a same wavelength to deal with the patient as such. So that's one. Now, another important statement of Sushruta is you can learn from many other sources, but the learning should be from a proper methodical source. And that proper methodical source is the institutional training, Gurukula. Now, Shastram Gurumukhodgiram Adaya Upasya Jasakrata. Those who have followed that methodical course of study, in those days it was Gurukula, now it is the university which gives you the degree, and those who have followed that kind of a method and then gain the knowledge, they only can be considered as the Vaidyas, Anyetu Taskaraha, others are considered as thieves. So, untrained or improperly trained physicians, they were get criticized as the thieves by Sushruta. And what Charaka says is almost the same issue. Nachaiva hasti sutram ayurvedasya param tasmat apramatah shashvat abhishogam asmin gachet etaccha karyam evam bhuyashcha vritta svastavam anasuyata parebhyapi agamedavyam. So whenever there is a knowledge, that knowledge has to be gained. And what Charaka says is Krishno hilokaha buddhimatam acharyaha shatrushcha buddhimatam. The knowledge can gain from any corner of the world. Every component of the whole world can be your teacher if you have that capacity to observe. So that these are the important issues about the method of education and a highlighted method of education of Ayurveda. औपधेयनम औरभ्यम सौषधम पुष्कलातम शेषाणाम शलितंत्राणाम मूलानि एतानि निर्दिशेत. This kind of a methodical study is the basic source for all that the Samhitas. In those days, probably it's not only Sushruta who had written, other colleagues of Sushruta also had written some books, but unfortunately those books are not available now. For us, it is the Sushruta Samhita which alone is available. Anyway, the method of study would be a methodical study and gaining a perfection in the skill, and then the later you need to preserve it in the form of book or maybe communicate to the others. This is the whole cycle of the knowledge which was existing in India, and it's not only about Ayurveda. This kind of cycle of Guru Shishya Parampara, it is a standard protocol for all the subjects, all Veda, Sangeeta, etc. In all that, it's the same protocol, and Ayurveda also has lived through that protocol. And somehow, because we have missed that link of protocol in between, we are in it is maybe critical situation. So somehow this has to be revived at least partially. With this, we conclude the fourth chapter, Sushruta Samhita Sutrasthana Prabhashaniyo Nama Chaturthodhyaya.